Estamos muy contentos de tener a Coco aquí. Ayer presentó su película Bloody Mondays y Strawberry Pies. Entonces, bueno, pues vamos a escucharla, compartir con ella como media hora más o menos de plática y luego un diálogo con ustedes. Muchas gracias,
Okay,
Coco.
bueno.
Welcome.
Sí, thank you. I'm not going to stay on the couch because, as if you have seen my film, you know I like to sleep a lot. So the first 5 minutes I will sit up straight, but then I will fall over and the talk will, go really slowly. So I'm going to do it differently. I brought my pillow. Can you help me? Hold it. Here's the pillow. Yeah, I had to smuggle it out of the hotel. But I really need it because I have a bony ass, so I need to sit down here. And also, this pillow is a sort of metaphor for filmmaking. It says on this pillow, firm. And let me take it up so I can sit down. Oops. Let me see how firm it is. Okay, that's great. So, the CCC was kind enough to put me in the Holiday Inn. And I came into my room and there were 4 pillows on the bed. Firm ones, soft ones. So I had 4 choices. And but there is another bed in the room as well. So I have 8 choices. And this only concerns sleeping. So we are only talking about sleeping, and I can make choices to use the firm pillow or the soft pillow or all the pillows, or should I focus on one pillow? And actually this is the same when you're making film. But with film, you have millions of choices. So hopefully we can find out. I'm a bit out of breath, but I will catch up. I always talk a lot. But we will hopefully find out how to make the right choices in your film. I can tell you up front that, thanks, we're not going to succeed in that, but I think it's important that you know what your film is about, what your topic is, and why you want to do this. So hopefully with some exercises that you are involved in, we will discover how it works. Another thing is that everybody who has done a master class is speaking in their own language, I think, except for Yolanda, but you're fluent in English. So this is not my native language, and sometimes you say different words to express yourself, and when it gets translated, the meaning gets all wrong. But I think that's really nice, because misunderstandings, okay, here I go already, give you surprises. Like, for instance, when I was a kid, there was this Dutch children's song about 2 bears who are making sandwiches. And you had to sing this song that the bears were eating sandwiches, and at the end of the song, you got cake. At least that's what I understood. That's what I heard phonetically. So every time my mother sang this song to me, I hold out my hand because I expected a piece of cake, but I didn't get it, you know. But the song wasn't about cake. When I grew up, I realized it meant something else. And these miscommunications are worthwhile. If you are a documentary filmmaker, I wish you a lot of these miscommunications, because it helps you keep you alert what you're doing. Because when you're going out to film something, it's not that you are just going to film the story you have in your head. You have to stay open for what is happening around you. But you need to know what you're filming. That's the only thing you need to know. I'm saying that's the only thing, but it's very hard to find out what that exactly is. Also, another misunderstanding once. I was at a party and I had just finished this film, First Kill, and I was really excited about it. And the topic is fascination for killing, the addiction to killing. And I was explaining this to somebody on a party, but this guy understood that I said vaccination. You know, when cows are sick, you vaccinate them. Is that an English word? And yeah, you have 1 second to say, no, I didn't mean that, but I let that second slip by, and that there I was, you know, cornered, talking to this guy about vaccinating cows for half an hour. So it can lead to some boring situations. Okay, a master class. I really have no idea what it means, because I don't believe in teachers, I think. I got kicked out of all the schools I went to, and I think that's a big advantage. But I'm a teacher myself, so I'm a bit biased here. I got kicked out of art school, and I'm teaching there now, which is a great éxito triumph for me. But at the same time, I don't believe that it's very useful to listen to people. No, I think it's useful. See, I'm already mixed up. This is how I make films. Nothing is sure. Everything has two sides, or maybe even more. We listened to Godfrey and Peter and Yolanda, and there will be more people who are going to inund, is that the word? Flood you with their opinions, and probably it's all true and probably nothing is true, but hopefully you will find a line in what we're saying that makes sense to you, or that applies to your style or to your persona, and unconsciously you will pick up something or learn something. When I was listening to Peter, I thought I disagree with you on every level. I really liked it.
Very good.
Yeah, very good. But on the other hand, I could understand everything as well, you know. But I don't know, like the stuff you said. He said, for instance, you're a peaceful man, or you work out of peace, and I work out of violence and the anger in me, you know, that propels me. And you said you make films for people, you don't make films for yourself. Write poems for yourself. And I think I just make films for me. That's the only way I know how to do it, because I don't know who is out there. I don't know all these millions of people who exist. I have no clue what they're thinking or what their desires are. So the only point of reference is me. But on the other hand, you want everybody to see your film, so you make it for everybody. But it's very handy if, when you're making a film, or especially when you're editing, to block out this invisible audience in your head, because it will influence you in the editing, in every cut you make, or the decision you make. You're thinking, what will they think, or what will the critics think, or does this look okay, or you have to block that out. That is a very simple line. I can tell you that it took me 15 years to block out people, you know. So it takes a while, but you'll get there if you're really passionate about your filmmaking. Oh, and what was the other thing? Oh yeah, ethics, ethics in filmmaking, which of course is very important, but whose ethics? I mean, there are certain universal values about, I don't know, I value friendship a lot, you know, don't turn your back on your friends, or but in filmmaking it's very difficult to say these are my principles. There are some principles, but they fluctuate depending on which situation you are in. I once read a line by Groucho Marx. I don't know if anyone. I was very little when they were popular, but these guys were stand-up comedians in their time. And Groucho Marx said, "These are my principles, and if you don't like them, I have others." You know. So, and I thought, that's me. And it doesn't mean that I don't have any principles. It's just that sometimes I realize that I've changed that during these situations. For instance, if you're interviewing somebody, you have to be very upfront with the people you are interviewing. You have to be honest with what you want from them. And I said the stockbrokers, it was hard to tell them, I want to interview you because you're so boring, which wasn't completely the case, but okay, we're going back and forth here. Where was I going with this? See, these are the bits in a master class or live or whatever that I like the best, when you blank out completely. Because when you blank out, for instance, in a conversation, you see people talk and things are going on, but suddenly you only see a little detail. You're zooming in somewhere. And that makes you a better filmmaker, because suddenly you notice something. This morning we were in the car and we were all sleepy and we were mumbling and you know, all these old people that we are. And I was in the front of the car and I saw all the backlights of cars. And suddenly I thought, why don't I live in a backlight of a car? Because these backlights are so intricate. Intricate, is that the word? I mean, they're so beautiful. They're like little glass houses, and you can live on the top floor and you can go down. And I thought somebody should make a fiction film, you know, with this art direction. And then I thought, what would be the theme for, because I don't think a film should be about just a story or a trick or that it looks really nice. I think there should be a theme on another level. And I thought that the theme would be that we all live in glass houses, you know, and you want to be out there, but we don't want to be. Everybody's looking at us and judging us. So, okay, we are transgressing to all these, but we were talking about ethics. The stockbrokers. Yeah. Oh yeah, you have to be up forward. Yeah, straight. Okay. Okay, the stockbrokers were something else, but for instance, the Vietnam veterans for the first scale film. It was very difficult for me to talk about the subject. It wasn't difficult, but because was a subject that fascinated me. How is it to kill somebody in a time of war? And I wanted to find out, could I be a killer as well? So if you find these people that are ready to talk about it and beat around the bush and you say, oh, I just want to talk a little bit how it was to be in the jungle and listen to Jimi Hendrix and be scared and all these feelings, they will feel instantly that you're not being honest, because these people have, they've lived in the jungle where all your senses are at work, so everything comes into the palate. They know intuitively if you're honest or not. So you just have to be very upfront and say, I want to interview you and I want you to tell me what it's like to kill. And the moment I said that, everything was fine. We had great conversations. They explained me into detail what it's like to kill the first person and the second and the third until the 36th, and how you keep count by cutting off ears. And it was, well, what can I say about it? It doesn't mean that you feel very comfortable doing these interviews, but if you are the kind of filmmaker that needs to do interviews in your film, you have to push yourself to ask questions that you really hate to ask, because once you let that point go by, you are back in the editing room and you will hate yourself because you didn't bring back the material. And these people that you are interviewing, they are expecting you to ask these questions. So there was one point, this was a really nice guy, very intelligent. He obviously was still suffering from the war, and first he didn't want to talk to me because he was afraid there would be stupid questions. But he said, okay, if you buy me a hamburger, I will talk to you for 10 minutes. And then in these 10 minutes, suddenly I asked, so tell me about your first kill. And there was this deadly silence, and in that silence I immediately wanted to jump up and say, oh, let's forget about it, I never asked that, eat your hamburger, we'll go for a beer, everything's fine. And you just have to force yourself and shut up, and you're sitting next to the camera and you hear your rolls, and you don't know how many minutes are left in the cassette, and you see your cameraman zooming in, great cameraman, he was right on focus. And so this actually was the best moment of the film. This silence lasts for a minute and a half. And when I edited in the film, we in the sound edit, we turned down the background noise from the street and stuff. So everybody in the theater was so uncomfortable. And these are tricks or film tricks that you have to learn while making your movie. Okay, where are we going? Oh yeah, but ethics still. I'm still talking about ethics. I didn't know that. So you have to be honest, but for instance, when, I don't know if you saw that movie Shoah by Claude Lanzmann, it's about the Holocaust, fantastic movie, very hard to bear, you should see it when you're young, because you can take it in better. And he is filming a guy who designed the gas chambers. And he's really sort of proud how he constructed the blueprints and how it worked, because it was a good piece of work. It really did a good job. And in the meantime, he kept asking, "You are not filming me, are you?" And Claude Lanzmann said, "No, of course not." But he had a camera in the bag, and in the subtitles you could see the name of this guy. And so that's not very honest, but I think that's very, you should do that, because this story should be told. So it's very, you complicate stuff for yourself to say, I have principles or ethics. It's very hard to define them. I don't know about these master classes that somebody is talking and expressing their mind. It's obviously a little bit helpful. But I wanted to ask some of you, who are the documentary directors here? So not the cameraman or soundman, but give me fingers. Okay, the girl in the pink hat. Are you making a film at the moment? Do you have an idea? No, you with the, yeah, you.
I'm in the post-production of a documentary.
Okay, so does anyone have a plan but hasn't started yet? Does anybody? Yeah, okay. So tell me, just as an exercise in 2 lines, your idea.
Quiero mostrar el mundo sensible de los vendedores ambulantes.
Okay, but that's just an image. What do you want to say to us?
El por qué, qué sienten sus necesidades, los problemas en vida que tienen para vivir, sobrevivir.
Okay, but why peddlers then? Because this is something that a lot of people experience. You have to, everybody more or less, struggle for your life. You have to make some money, make a living. So why exactly these people?
Porque antes de terminar mi carrera, yo fui una vendedora ambulante y sé en carne propia lo que se siente. Estuve en una cárcel por horas y es muy difícil, y creo que se puede mostrar la otra parte cuando tú lo has vivido. Soy actriz, no soy cinematógrafa.
Okay, great. Yeah, this is a great turn of the conversation, because lots of people, especially when you're in film school, you come up with an idea that you think will look attractive on screen or will have nice or funny conversations, and that's the whole thing to it, I don't know if there's an English expression, but in Dutch we call films like that watching at monkeys. You just see them perform their stuff, but there's nothing extra. But you came from that background, so it should be more real and in-depth what you're going to make. But this is context. So have you thought of a form that fits your topic?
Sí, de hecho tengo varias. Creo que la imagen es importante, pero sí estoy de acuerdo con usted que hay muchas imágenes que pueden estar en silencio, que dicen más y emocionan más. Y creo que tengo varias herramientas, las propias, que puedo también aplicar, visual y narrativas.
Okay, so you obviously thought about it really well. Because the form of your film, I'm all for use that camera, not just register what you get in front of your film. All the films that I've made, which are very few, I just made 5, I think actually really 3 only. I don't know why I'm here, but I don't know, if you're really into it and you put your heart in it and you work on it long enough, or with people that you surround yourself with really great people also, that's also direction, to choose the right people. You have a chance of making an exceptional film, because there are so many stories to be told, and you see so many films a year that maybe out of the 500 movies you see fiction or Hollywood movies or art house movies, there may be 3 or 4 that will really do something to you, move you, or stay with you for the rest of your life. So it's really hard. We are so inured in images that it almost doesn't mean anything to us, which is completely untrue. You see, I'm hearing myself talk in the same sentence. I deny what I'm saying. And it's a good style. I would propose it to you. So I think, like, for instance, this film, the Bloody Mondays film, was a very different style. For instance, the parts in the desert, they were long total shots and very quiet, very relaxed shots. And in the office of the stockbroker, these people are always in a hurry, they don't have time for coffee. You saw the guy moving with the headphones, so you have to be moving with them. Except you can't just take that as a rule, because when the guy was moving and walking in and out of the corridor with the headphones on, obviously we had to stand still. You can't just follow him around. That would be the wrong approach. But it takes some time to find out at what moment, what style you have to apply to your scene. And First Kill was a very different movie. The subject was so strong that we almost didn't need any style to film. You just had to put your camera on your subject and let the image do the work. This sounds so simple, but okay, I don't have anything to say. Okay, is there anybody else who is starting with an idea?
Bueno, yo soy estudiante de esta escuela y en este año vamos a hacer un documental, ¿no? O sea, a nosotros nos toca, queramos o no, hacer un documental este año, ¿no? Entonces creo que entramos un poco en la pregunta en las personas que teníamos que levantar el dedo. Bueno, yo tengo una idea de hacer un documental y lo que quiero contar es a un personaje, a un individuo, enfrentándose a sí mismo mientras progresa ante un desafío que él mismo se ha planteado hacer, que es específicamente subir una pared escalando.
Okay, I was going to say that's very abstract idea. I like abstract stuff, you know. It's very difficult. You make it very hard on yourself because you don't know what images to look for. But then your last sentence was climbing a wall. Okay, so you have something to hold on to. If you tell this pitch to your friends, how do they react? Do they think, "Oh, great, nice, do you want another beer?" Or they start yawning? Or how do they react?
Normalmente no es algo que se entienda mucho, entonces la pregunta más usual es ¿cómo? ¿En dónde? ¿Por qué? ¿Tú quién eres? ¿Qué haces?
Yeah. Okay, this is probably what teachers teach you. When you go out and make a film, ask yourself why, where, when, you know, location, time, place of action. This is all true, but if we would all apply to this kind of filmmaking, Koyaan Scotty wouldn't have been made, Peter would have made a different film. I would never even have dared to start with Bloody Mondays because I can't say anything rational about it. I think what you really need to know is why you want to make this film, because you are going to embark on this very long journey for 3 years, and for 3 years people will ask you every day on parties or people in the street, "Hey, how are you? What you doing? I am making a film. Oh, still the Bornholm film?" You know, and my whole elaborate idea, because it's not about Bornholm, it's about the inability to do nothing, it's about time, it's about death, it's about whatever you see in it, really. But people they don't have time for all that. So they say, "Oh, the Bornholm film, great. Next," you know. And then after 2 films, people really got fed up and they said, "What are you really going to film then? People lying on the couch, you know?" Or they had no clue. slowly, because I was really sure of what I wanted. I really, like Godfrey said, become your film. I became my film. I was laying on the couch, but that's my normal habitat, really. I could see in my head what kind of film it was going to be. I could see all the images. So for me it became, although it was an abstract theme, it became very palpable. Is that in English? Palpable? And very real, concrete. Thanks. Yeah. You know, when I do films, before I have an interview, I look up all the English words so I come across really eloquent. There's a word, but I'm not. So you have to know why you want to make films. And my first film, called In Motion, my motivation, I'm afraid to say, was I wanted to become famous. I have no idea why everybody, or a lot of people, always want to become famous. At least some people have an idea with what to become famous, in a band or a writer or a great construction worker or whatever. I didn't even care in what profession I would become famous. I just wanted to be famous. I think it's because you are seeking acknowledgement from people, and it's all because you hate your parents and you just want them to say, hey, great, and very late on in life you realize even if I would have flown to the moon with 5 Oscars, they would have just, yeah, great, so when are you coming home? It doesn't matter. So you have to realize that you're making this film for you, only for you. Nobody is waiting for you. Nobody is thinking, hey, when is Coco Schrijber's next movie coming along? Believe me, nobody is expecting that. So I am a very fast swimmer, so I thought I could become famous in swimming. I know how to knit really well, but there is no TV show for knitting. There is nothing. Or I could have gone into the arts like Tracy Emin, but she beat me to it. So I made Emotion. This was a short film in New York about a cab driver who was famous. At the age of 25, he was worldly famous. He was a jazz saxophone player, and he played with Sonny Rollins, and he was in Carnegie Hall, and the world was too small. And then suddenly he realized, I don't want to be famous. I just want to make music. That's it. So overnight he became a cab driver. And he found out what he wanted to be. And it's very funny how you pick your topics. Because I thought, a great story, I have access to the story. I can go to New York, So I didn't even realize that I was filming my own being, my own problems or thoughts or issues. And so I made this film. We only had 8 rolls of film. So that's 80 minutes. And you go off to New York. We slept in a garden of a friend. And my boyfriend was the cameraman, so it was a very funny exercise. But we made a great film, 15 minutes, won the first prize in Rome, and I thought, hey, I'm in there, I'm famous, I made it. I'm at ITFA, which is, the biggest festival, I'm in the biggest theater. And then my mother showed up. Later on, I made a film about my mother. She's a monster, The film is called An Ordinary Family, but it starts with the Addams Family, It's really... And she is standing there in the hall, and she sees nobody, and she says, well, apparently nobody's coming to see a movie, right? And I said, no, you were half hour early. So we went into the theater. I was very proud. And when it was all over, there were some 5 lines in the paper. All the people that liked me still liked me. All the people that didn't like me still didn't like me. Nothing had changed, It was a revelation. I thought, okay, why am I making these films? So, then I made the next film. No, first I thought, I'm not going to be a filmmaker. I will be... I had just gotten my driver's license, so I thought I'm going to be a coureur, in the Formula 1 race. I saw myself, I had just won a race on the beach for some TV. It's really stupid. So I thought I'm going to do that. And I wanted to become a director of the zoo, so I thought I have to get some training, working with animals and stuff. And I was really serious getting into that. And then somebody from the network called me up, do you want to make a film about your family? And I thought, boring, why would I want to film my own family? And so there was another wrong motivation for making films. But suddenly I thought I had a great idea. I thought I was going to film my 3 aunts. They're Jewish. My father's Jewish, but he died, so he walked all the way from a concentration camp home. Really great story. But he died very early, so I don't know the story. These people never tell you anything. They're all gonna die and leave me alone, I don't know nothing. So I thought I'm going to put my Jewish aunts, 2 of them are millionaires, they look really, great with all the diamonds, very typical Jews. I'm going to put them on the couch, and they are going to tell the story of my dad walking home. And then the network thought, ooh, that's a bit too much. Said, don't you have another story? I said, no, I thought I have a great story about my mother, but there's a slight problem. I told all my friends that not only my father died, but also my mother died. because I never ever wanted to talk about her again. So what was I gonna say to all my friends? You know, I have a mother, but then it was tempting to. I felt my film nerves, you know, tingling. I thought, yeah, maybe I am still a filmmaker. So I thought, what weighs heavier? And I thought, okay, I'm going to tell my friends I do have a mother. There was one complication because one friend who also had a monstrous mother, I wanted to show her some compassion. I had confessed to her, hey, I have a mother. But a year later, I really hated that she knew I had a mother. So I told her, she died again. You know, she died. So I had to tell her again, she's alive. Well, I don't know where this story is going, but these are the, that you are confronted with while making serious movies.
Did you do the film?
I did the film. It's called An Ordinary Family, which it's not. It's you know, the Palestine-Israeli conflict is nothing compared to my family, but it's like a black comedy. You should see it. You could screen it here. So that was my second film. First Kill. That's where really my motivation became. I became a filmmaker because what I was doing was I looked for my own fascination in things. What really, like you with the peddlers, that comes from deep within you. It's serious. It means something to you. So you know what you're talking about. I don't think you should make films because you think if I make a film about Michael Jackson now, I'm going to, hit the jackpot. That would be really on the dot. Or, something that's very opportunistic, It will be great, but I don't think very wonderful films come out of that. So, First Kill is about this fascination for duality, how we all have a killer inside of us. So, because it was my own fascination, I could put my whole life into it, and all my time I became the movie. So I think it's a really great movie, but I couldn't have done it if I wasn't really into it, if I wasn't really committed to it. And it's the same with Bloody Mondays and Strawberry Pies. I discovered that actually I am filming my own development, subsidized by Dutch funds, of course. After First Kill, I was really tired, and I got back to the couch, and I got a stack of books, and was really enjoying myself. Didn't have any. I didn't want to get up and work, and then I realized that this doing nothingness, and being bored has really a positive side to it. And then I started to explore that. It really scared the hell out of me to make that kind of movie. So I made a short film in between about homeless. But this also came naturally, just not because you're looking for topics, but because it happens to you. I live in this neighborhood, very posh-looking neighborhood, but there is a homeless shelter, so I really like these guys. When you're sitting inside, there's one guy called Herman. He's always walking around the block, and you hear him, "Yeah, Barcelona!" that's his expression of the day. And I really got attached to these people, and I thought, let's make a movie not about how hard it is. Always lots of films are made about hardship, but documentaries are also an expression of your mind, of the visuals and the visual images you have inside yourself. It's not just the meanings to show everything what's bad in the world. So I turned into a sort of homeless opera. Everybody's singing or mumbling, and it became a very poetic, funny, moving film. Well, my wrap-up quote is, I heard you quote people and your heroes, and these people are inspirations to us. But from all these filmmakers or writers that you really like, a lot of these people, I have never read any books of them or saw their movies. I just read one line that they said, and it stuck to me because probably I am that kind of person that needs to work according to these quotes. So this quote really, I read it last week. It's by Paul Claudel. I don't know. I think he's a French author. Anyway, he's the brother of Camille Claudel, the sculptor. And he said, the rationality gives you the pleasure of order, because we are all very chaotic and we need to make all these decisions, which pillows out of the 8 pillows, the firm ones, the soft ones, and it can get very messy inside your head. So you're looking for order, which can be a pleasure. But he said chaos, imagination is the pleasure of chaos. So that's what I want to say to you. Don't be scared or let yourself be scared of by your own mental madness, because that's where your personal style and ideas and that's where you can get your inspiration from. Yeah, but that's where you can find your voice, and in that way you can always be a unique filmmaker. Even if there are thousands of other filmmakers, you never have to worry. There are so many filmmakers and nobody is really waiting for me. They aren't, but you have a unique voice, and it's in that chaos, I think that's where you can find it.
Yo quisiera pues iniciar brevemente como una pregunta que la verdad sí te la he querido hacer desde el principio, y creo que puede ser puede servir también para los otros chavos. Justo esa relación entre, por un lado, como el caos, la imaginación, y por el otro lado como el estructurar y el ordenar. Creo que es algo que tenemos que hacer siempre en un documental, porque la realidad con la que nos enfrentamos siempre tiende a ser caótica. Y a la hora de hacer una película, que es como un tiempo limitado, un espacio limitado, siempre tenemos que seleccionar y ordenar imágenes y sonidos para que tengan como una unidad, para que sea una unidad. Y cuando veo tus películas, a mí me parecen buenísimos, de verdad, porque son como tan bien orquestadas, o sea, donde la música, las pausas, los silencios, la rapidez, a mi gusto, me parece que está muy bien orquestado. Mi pregunta es, ¿esto qué tanto guionizas, qué tanto piensas y ves tus películas desde antes y sabes entonces exactamente lo que vas a buscar, lo que vas a grabar? ¿O qué tanto hay un proceso posterior en la edición de estructurar y de encontrar pues esa orquestación?
My ideas always start with just one image, and I don't know where that image comes from. It just pops up in your head, like this morning with the backlights of the car. I don't know where that's going to lead to. I think somebody else should make that movie. But so it's just one image, and it stays with you for weeks and months, and you try to push it away because you feel there's a film coming out of it, but it's too complicated and you have to get off the sofa and work. But you feel it's fascinating and you want to get grip on this idea. So then one stupid day you decide to write a proposal for the film fund to get your money, and lots of documentary filmmakers complain about it because they say it's reality, I can script reality, but I think it's really good because you structure your thoughts, you put on paper what you want to make, and you do that many times a day until you have a real great proposal, and you can read for yourself what's bullshit, what you're just writing to get the money, which parts sound really good or which are really true. So I write a whole proposal with all these people that, for instance, for Bloody Mondays, that I just made up, but I wrote about them in the proposal. And when I have written everything down, and hopefully they give me the money, I'm going to find in reality, which is chaotic, to see where this structure is. But I don't want to limit myself, I don't want to say, okay, we have Lena, we have this guy in the desert. The guy in the desert turned out to be completely different than I had written about him, because I had been to the desert 5 or 6 times, and I always met these nomads who were so slow, because there's nothing really going on. It's too hot to move too fast. It's really nice. We had discussions with tea, and I would tell them, wouldn't you like to go to the movies, for instance? I mean, there's nothing here. And then, he would say, well, maybe I could go to the movies. I'm doing this faster than in real life because it would take forever. And he said, maybe I would like the movie. Then I have to work more to go to another movie. And mid-sentence he fell asleep in the sand. And I would wake up and say, more tea. They were all, and I thought I'm going to film there for this nothingness film. And then when I came, I met Mocha, and he was really stressed. He was completely different. He was a sort of stockbroker in the desert. He was talking fast. He said, I have stress in my mouth. The tourists bring stress. So first I thought, I got it all wrong. What was I thinking? I'm so stupid. I forgot that Western society stopped at the border there. Of course it didn't. And but then I thought, that's the nice part of documentary making. You have to be flexible and think, oh no, this is what's happening. Let's film it. And then we'll see what happens in the editing.
Bueno, yo quisiera que si nos pudiera dar más información sobre los trucos cinematográficos que usa. Usted mencionó que, por ejemplo, el silencio habla, y creo que es cierto, pero ¿usted tiene trucos previos a filmar? Algunos se darán durante la filmación, pero bueno, esa es una. La dos es, generalmente en México, a veces para poder hacer un largometraje se hace el teaser para mostrar un proyecto. Yo quisiera saber qué tanto es viable esto para Documental. Muchas gracias.
I don't know about storyboarding, because I think you have, as a filmmaker, you have very lively imagination, and I don't know how to draw, and even if I could, it wouldn't be the things I see in my head. If I can make it up in my head, I know it's out there, because I'm just what I see in the world. I'm a combination of all the impressions that hit me. Well, I am a sound nerd. I think film is really 60% sound, because you play with the unconsciousness of the audience. For instance, in this first kill film, there is a scene where Billy is telling, he wants to make a comparison with killing and sex. He's talking about killing all the time, and when he's talking about sex, he asked me if this is permitted to say on camera, which I thought was very funny. Maybe it's an American thing. They are so weird. But the way he spoke about it, I paused very long, so that you don't want information from the people you are talking to. You want feelings. So you shouldn't immediately come with your next question. Just take your time. Just think. I've waited at least 3 seconds. Wait 10 seconds more, even if everybody's getting uncomfortable in the room. I mean, you have these expressions, the silence became uncomfortable, but that doesn't exist. Silence isn't uncomfortable. Silence is just silence, and you are getting uncomfortable. But what works in the sound editing is when he was talking all the time about sex and the comparison, I had a very low bass sound on the track. A sound that you didn't really notice, because bass sounds are sounds that it's like our heart, you don't really notice it. But when he had said the last word, I took away this bass sound. And then the whole theater was filled with an uncomfortable silence. And that's tricks that work. But, I didn't invent this by myself. You have to find really great people that, my passion is film, their passion is sound. And I think filmmakers should really study sound, because if you think that that's something somebody else should do, forget about filmmaking.
Bueno, yo te quería preguntar si alguna vez te ha pasado dejar afuera alguno de los personajes que entrevistas. Y otra cosa que te quería preguntar es, ¿cuánto tiempo tardaste en editar la película que vimos ayer?
Okay. I edited 4.5 months, and 3 months on sound. So that's quite long. I have a great producer. He never says the money is gone, but the money is actually really gone. Now we're all fucked. But while making the film, we just edit and edit. And I think 4 months is not very long. I like to pause after these 4 months and leave it alone for 3 or 4 months and look at it again. Sometimes that's possible, but as a filmmaker you just have to demand that. You're the boss, you're in charge, it's your film. After 20 years, people hopefully will still see that film, your name on it, and you will look at it and think, oh, I'm so bad, I'm a lousy filmmaker. It's not what you want your best effort in that. And in First Kill, I think I have a good nose for characters. I think that's my little talent, to find people. So I never left out anyone. Only in First Kill, there was this guy who studied chimps, and he could tell very passionately about chimps. And I discovered that people always say that only humans kill each other for no reason, and that in the animal world this doesn't happen. But actually the chimps that we come from, when everything is said and done, they have enough bananas, all the females are pregnant, everything is quiet in the kingdom, some chimps get bored. They just discovered that when I was doing the movie. And he had slides of chimps, 4 or 5 chimps, who would go beyond their perimeter and wait for another lonely chimp who was coming along, like Salvador, who got mugged. It could have been you. And they all jumped on this chimp and they tore him apart. It seemed like a ritual murder. They took off his balls and they ripped his throat. It was horrendous. And I thought it would be great to put that through the movie to show that we are like that. It's not... okay, but then when I was looking at the film, it looked as if I needed some kind of, and now I'm looking for the word, permission or verification of why we kill. Like if it would have been backed up by science, I would have been right. And I thought, this film doesn't need that. It's up to the audience to decide if you are capable of killing or not. So it broke my heart because we had edited fantastically. I really like that sequence, but you have to kill your darlings. Yeah.
Muchísimas gracias, Coco. De verdad,
Thank you.